Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody out there on YouTube, wherever you are in the world, whatever time of day it is for you. I hope you are doing well, staying safe, and all the other wonderful things. I apologize if my framing is bad. I have not yet gotten a camera cage for my Sony a6100, and as many people rightfully dog Sony for it, they're like literally one of the only brands that still makes a flip-up LCD and then puts the cold shoe, hot shoe, whatever it's called, mount for your microphones or whatever else you decide to add to your camera right in the same area, so you have no way of looking at your screen properly. Thank you for attending my TED Talk. There's merch in the description below. I've heard a lot of positive feedback on these like vlog style videos, and quite frankly, I kind of enjoyed making them. So today I want to share the story behind the scar on my arm. I'm not sure if you'll be able to tell in the framing here, but I kind of want to go sit on my porch. It's a relatively nice day. Let's find out what the temperature is outside, yeah? Hey Google, what's the weather like outside?
Right now in Springfield, it's 54 degrees and sunny. Today, it'll be sunny with a forecasted high of 60 and a low of 42.
Nice! Alright, so we're officially out on the porch because it's just a nice day out. So I didn't want to be inside. Although I say it's a nice day and in the shade, it's a little cold. And the birds are adding to the atmosphere a little bit. Hey, I'm trying to vlog. No, I'm just kidding. Like they can hear. I'm gonna get a jacket. Alright. That's better. Yeah, it's a little too cold out to not be wearing a jacket, but nice enough out where I want to be outside. Is that wrong? Is that a weird combo? I also feel like I gotta like crane down. Maybe we just fix this a little bit, yeah? Sure, we'll go with that. Any weird spiders in the background? That happens sometimes. No? Alright, well, I'll take that. So getting right to the story, I have actually not told this story in a long time, so I kind of had to give myself a quick refresher on the timeline, and I'm still not sure about how long it's been now since, you know, I actually injured my arm. A few years ago, I was dating a gal who had a child. Not my child, just to be clear biologically, but I kind of accepted him as my own. I never looked at him any differently. And throughout that time, my friends and family were all cautioning me, saying this girl is a little, maybe not a good idea. And of course, like any other teenage boy, I listened to them and took their advice and continued dating her. I didn't take their advice at all, obviously. When the breakup happened, the difficult part about it was not so much that I dated her and broke up with her. It was losing him, because the type of person that I am, I got very attached, and leaving him was very difficult. Someone's car alarm. That's pretty normal here. I don't know what's going on with that. So anyway, losing him was very difficult. It put me into a very deep depression, and I ended up really wrestling with that for a while. And that depression took me to the place where I was working a dead-end job, wasn't happy with my life, and I wanted to do something different, but I didn't really know what. So I was a very young and naive Christian at this point, and I just started praying. I didn't really know what to ask. I just was asking what I thought was the right thing to ask, which was, God, what do you want me to do? What should I do? What's the right thing to do in this situation? Where should I go from here? And God gave it very clearly to me then that I was called to be in ministry. And at the time, the only thing I knew that was ministry, the only thing I recognized as ministry was being a minister or a pastor or pastor teacher is what I would recognize them as now. But that's the only thing I had envisioned in my head. So I thought, you know what? I don't want to do that. It's way too much responsibility. I don't think I am ready for that. I've only been a Christian really dedicated for less than a year at this point. So I'm like, I can't be it. I'm going to go to the other extreme. I know you're calling me to Nineveh, God, but I'm gonna go to Tarshish. I literally became the metaphorical Jonah, and what I actually did, decided I was gonna join the Marine Corps, which, by the way, I am not dogging on. If you are yourself a Marine or you're in the military in any aspect, I thank you. I appreciate you. There's nothing wrong with what you're doing. But for me, it wasn't a good idea, because God was specifically saying, no, I don't want you to do that. I want you to go into ministry. And I'm like, I don't have that ability. I'm not equipped to do that. So no, I'm going to keep going down this path. So I go through all the application process. I go through all the paperwork. I go through all of the hoops that you have to go through. And at this point, the only hoop I have left to go through is to lose about 5 pounds. So I believe it was every day, if I'm not mistaken, or at least every other day. I was getting together with the Marines that were at the recruiting center and working out with them. It was very much body weight workouts for the most part, plus a few high intensity things. During one of the exercises, we had a tractor tire. Now, I'm about 5'9", and I was about that height at the time, so it came up to right underneath my chin, right about here. Sorry about that. I thought I silenced my phone. In that exercise, the tire was standing upright. You'd lay it into your hands, you'd squat down, you'd come back up, and just lay it into the person in front of you, into their hands. They're facing directly towards you, so if you can kind of get that mental image. Going back and forth like that, and in the midst of that, I end up slipping underneath the tire. My feet slid out from underneath me, and it was in the process of trying to stop it from doing the same thing to the other guy, but that's a whole other thing. Short version is I ended up underneath the tire, and when the tire landed, it landed on this arm right here, and it created a distal fracture. For those of you that don't know, distal and compound are, from what I understood and still understand, the most common fractures that I'm aware of. Compound, bones sticking out. It's gross. Distal means that it's contained, but it's definitely broken. I'd never broken a bone before, so I didn't know. I thought, just based on where it was, it kind of felt like maybe I'd dislocated something. So I tried to get up. That didn't work. Go to a local dock in a box, as I like to call them, little like corner. You know what I'm talking about, dock in a box. We don't need to go into that. Go to one of those, they x-ray me, and I knew it was bad when the guy peeked around the corner and he went, "That's not good, you need to go to the hospital. We can't just set that, you need to have surgery." And I'm like, crap. Because I knew that the Marines were really big on, you cannot have metal in your arm, especially, or in any part of your body, especially if it's a massive amount. So I go through this process of going to the hospital, find out I need to have surgery, go over the weekend without having the surgery because the doctor that could do it was out of town. Comes in on Tuesday, I get the surgery done. They say, yeah, be a 2-inch incision, 2 screws. I'm like, perfect. After I heal a little bit, I can still go. I come out of the surgery and I find out that the scar that's there, of course it wasn't a scar, then it was still a fresh cut. It was a closer to 6-inch incision, like lengthwise, not depth, but lengthwise. And it took 8 screws and a plate to put my arm back together. And I was devastated because the thing that I wanted to do, I could no longer do. But what I learned from that was that God had called me to do something differently. It was not going to be in the Marine Corps, even though it's a very honorable thing to do. That was not what he had called me to, and he very much said, no, you're gonna do this instead. And here I am now, several years later, using the things that I love doing, talking, sharing life stories, getting into technology, playing video games. I've used all of those things throughout the last several years to reach people, build relationships and friendships online. And if it had been for just one of those people, it would have been 100% worth it. But I know it's been more than just one life that I've impacted, and that's not boasting in me, that's boasting in him. He's using those things, and I'm grateful. So the moral of the story is, how I got that scar was God telling me to do what he had called me to do, me resisting that. And then he said, I still want you to do it. So I believe very firmly he allowed my arm to be broken, surgery to occur, to stop me from going down that path. And now here I am. Grateful for it.